Support for SportsPage is provided by the University Store. The University Store is the official headquarters for Mules and Jennies emblem clothing, gifts, and UCN memorabilia. Books, office supplies, art supplies, and more are available at the University Store, located on the lower level of the Elliott Union on the UCM campus in Warrensburg. And promotional support for SportsPage is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.
Coming up on SportsPage, I'll sit down with head baseball coach Tommy Myers and talk about them winning a doubleheader at home against Lindenwood. Joe Moore will catch up with Jennies head softball coach Susan Anderson and talk about their season thus far. In our SportsPage Spotlights, we'll take a look at Mules senior outfielder Brad Wilson. We'll also take a look at junior pitcher Jakki Prater. All of that and more on this week's edition of the UCM SportsPage. Welcome back to SportsPage. I'm Alex Greenlee. Brianna Blocker has the highlights from the doubleheader against Lindenwood on April 5th. Let's take a look.
I'm Brianna Blocker, and I'm here at the James R. Crane Stadium in Warrensburg, Missouri, with the Central Missouri Mules face off the Lindenwood Lions. Let's take a look at those highlights. Lindenwood jumped off 1-0 in the first inning of Game 1. Some solid defense, including a caught stealing from catcher Matt Marbury, limited the damage. Brad Wilson led with a single. Wilson's been leading the Mules this season with 5 home runs while batting .382 and having an RBI of 33. Brad Jelinek drove in a tie and a run with a sacrifice run. The score was still tied by 1. The Mules tied the game in the second inning. The Mules continue to swing hot bats but could not produce any runs, allowing Lindenwood to jump ahead with 2 runs at the top of the 4th inning. But at the bottom of the 4th, the Mules exploded for 6 runs to take a 7-3 lead. The Mules added runs in the 5th and 6th to take the winning game in Game 1. In Game 2, the Mules jumped to a 2-0 lead with Tony Sandiford's second inning home run and Hunter Johnson's RBI double. Lindenwood pulled within 1 with the single tally in the 3rd inning. Some shoddy Lindenwood's defense and some solid Mules base running gave Central a 3-1 lead in the 6th inning. Trevor Jones made it 4-1 in the 7th with the leadoff double. He later scored on a pair of wild pitches. Ricky Rivera improved his 6-0 by striking out 4 in 7 innings. Zach Davis got his 7th save of the season. I'm here with Tony Sandiford after the doubleheader victory against the Lindenwood Lions. The first game ending in 9-4, the second 4-1. Hi, Tony. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
So how does it feel to have 2 consecutive wins today?
It feels good. I know that winning every day is something that we need to do, get this program back to where it was previous to last year, and to make a stretch on to the postseason so that we can string something together and make a run this year.
So you guys had a very discerning eye when determining whether or not to hit the ball. Did that come from much practice, or were you guys familiar with the Lindenwood's pitcher?
You know, we didn't. Every day it's a day-to-day thing, and in practice we try to be good at the marginal pitches. You know, the balls that might be a strike, might not be. We take them and we go with things that we can hit, and we're looking for a place and a pitch and at times. So I mean, a lot of it is practice and a mental preparation, not only physically, but a lot of it's mentally at the plate. So mentally knowing that you get the ball that you can hit and things like that. So yeah.
So you guys were offensively strong today. What attributed to that?
We hit the ball hard and on the ground and on a line drive, and that's what Coach preaches, you know. And he always tells us keep the ball in the air, don't give away free outs, and that's something that we did well today. We didn't give away free outs, and it shows. So.
So how does it feel to have hit your second home run of the season today?
It feels good, you know. It's always good to get another one, I guess, but it's all a part of the approach and staying flat and keeping the ball on the ground. You know, we don't hit the ball in the air and it backs one and got out of the yard, so it's something good, you know.
Okay. So I understand you guys have another doubleheader tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So what do you guys aspire to do differently for tomorrow's game compared to today?
You know, just keep hitting the ball hard and keep hitting it flat. You know, don't give them any free outs and be good at the marginal pitches, and that's what we got to do. Come out and play tough D, and like I said, be good with the marginal and hit the ball hard on the ground.
All right, thank you. Well, I'm Brianna Blocker reporting for SportsPage.
Now, as you take a look there at the score, their first game 9-4. Their second game they won 4-1. Had some good plays there. And as you take a look at the next day and their next doubleheader, like Brianna was talking about, 10-3 in that first game, and then 8-2 in the second game. And then you look at Emporia State on the 8th. They fell 14-2, but the Mules are 26-11. Right now, 23-5 in the MIAA. Joining us now to talk Mules baseball is men's head baseball coach Tommy Meyer. Coach, I'm really glad to have you on right now.
Great to be here, Alex.
Yeah, thanks so much. Now let's talk about the first game. Both teams had a slow start, and you guys came in the bottom of the fourth. You guys just erupted. Well, tell me about that.
Yeah, you know, we play a style that's typically trying to find a way to get one. But Hunter Johnson was in the lineup, gets a leadoff double, and it sets up a completely different inning for us. And then you compound it with great at bats, and the big inning happens usually with some type of mistake on the other side of the field, and they gave us just one little inch. We took advantage of it and ended up with 4 runs with nice flat balls in play.
And Grant Gowan got his first win on the season. How was he able to keep, Lindenwood kind of, jumping around?
Yeah, he had to come in early with Jake Heisler out there only throwing 4 2/3. So here comes Grant, a freshman, into the fire in a really important game. Friday night, the first game of a series is always big, and a freshman comes in, and what he did was he established the fact that he could throw a breaking ball for a strike, and he's got a really nice fastball. And when he throws that breaking ball for a strike, mixes in a changeup, can work both sides of the plate with his fastball, he's going to have success. And he was doing that, and ultimately, it's a good sign for him down the road, and a great thing for the Mules baseball team to have as a guy that's young and really good at what he does, and is able to come in confidently and get a win for us.
You make a good point about how young he is and how well he played. What other things went well for you guys in that first game?
Well, we were flawless defensively, 0 mistakes on the defensive side of the ball. Our base running was really good. We advanced every time we needed to. Our trail runners were doing a great job of stopping throws to get lead runners, and then ultimately starting pitching and finishing off the day. One thing Tony mentioned after that was we hit the ball hard and flat and no free outs. We had 2 fly ball outs that game, and we had 0 strikeouts. And when you can do that, you're going to make it awful tough on another team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. On to your second game, you guys came out in the bottom of the second, scored 2 runs, Sandifer hitting a home run and Johnson hitting a double and getting Norfleet. Tell me about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just continued to do some really neat things at the plate. The ball Tony hit out of the park. I don't know if our fence is 8 foot tall, and it may not have gotten more than 10 feet high the whole way out, and that's epitome of what we want. And then Barrett comes up with Hunter, I guess, gets the double, and Barrett gets a line drive, and really made things kind of go there.
Absolutely. The bats were not as hot in the second game that you guys played, but you scored again in the bottom of the 6th with Mulberry scoring on a throwing error.
Well, yeah, we were fortunate right there. Matt's not the fastest runner in the world, and almost baited in a bad throw, and so we found a way to get him into scoring position. When you do that, it doesn't take much to score. There's the edge and the opening that we needed in that game, and put us 1 more run ahead and makes it a little more comfortable at the end.
Well, Lindenwood really didn't have much going good for them this game. In the bottom of the 7th, Jones scored on a wild pitch. That's obviously nice to be able to score on a wild pitch. Talk me through that.
Well, you know, the key there is getting to third base, and what you normally see is that pitchers don't want to throw their breaking ball in the dirt with runners at third base, and so you know we were trying to get to third base. Trevor's a great runner. He ends up stealing the bag to get to third, I think, and got to second on a pass ball, gets to third on a stolen base, and then scores on a pass ball. And so what we've done there is created an environment where we've forced that pitcher to try to throw his breaking ball too hard. You know, the catcher's worried about what we're doing on the bases, and so ultimately I thought that was a pressure play on our part that allowed us to get that run.
Well, and Ricky Rivera got his 6th win on the season, and he hasn't lost a game yet this season. Just how good is he? And what's his favorite pitch?
Well, he's outstanding. I mean, we brought him in to be a number one. The thing about Mules baseball is we felt like we had 4 number ones rolling into the year, and so he's a guy that's continuing to do that. Curtis Schuler is doing better. Jake Heisler's doing fine, but Ricky has given us steady outings every time. 6-0, I think, with 8 starts. So 2 times he hasn't made a decision, but he's done really well. He likes. I mean, he throws a fastball, you know, and a breaking ball to right-handers, and a fastball and a changeup to left-handers, and then he'll mix around and just kind of play with the breaking ball to left-handers at times, try to back foot them, try to throw it away, backdoor it, and then he'll just you know, continue to pitch at the knees. The thing about Ricky is he gives you about 2 seconds in between pitches. He wants that ball, and he's right back on the bump, ready to throw it again. As a hitter, you better be ready.
Then that's got to be hard to be ready just right after it happens.
Question.
Yeah.
No question.
Before we talk about the April 6th doubleheader you guys won, I want to talk about, you know, that difference from that April 5th, that first game to second game kind of change. What was it for you that was really different in kind of that breaking point between game 1 and game 2 in the 5th?
Well, I think ultimately it just comes down to mentally. You know, in the first game we were able to get pitches up in the zone and hit it flat, and you know, in game 2 we just weren't quite on page there for a while. Their starter was really good, really whippy arm and hard to pick up, and it just takes a while. And I think we needed time to see him. And in the first game it took three innings to get to the top of the order again. I'm sorry, in the first game we were at the top of the order by the second inning. In game 2 of the day, we weren't getting to the top of our order until inning 4 again, and so it just took a little while to see him. We needed to see him a second time, and so we just got off to a little bit slower start there.
That's okay. You guys still got the win, and that's all that matters. April 6th, you guys won both games against Lindenwood, 10-3 in the first game, 8-2 in the second game. Talk about, you know, behind, you know, the stats and behind everything else, what was the key to the win for you guys?
Starting pitching, both days. It was starting pitching. Kyle Gears goes out in game 1. Game 3 of the series and just dominated. He pitched really tough in the first inning, really tough in the third inning. I think he left the bases loaded in both of those, so they stranded 6 runners within the first 3 innings, and that's frustrating for the other team. But he was pitching the whole time. You never felt like he was going to give up the hit. He just had some walks in there that ultimately made him pitch pretty hard. But he ends up pitching 6 innings or 5 innings, no runs, and did a great job for us there. And then Curtis Schuler in the last game, I think, threw 8 innings and no runs as a starter. That's getting deep into a game and give you a chance. So even though we outscored them 10-3 and 8-2, it was all starting pitching that day.
Now, your starting pitching's very solid, as it has been all season. Before we talk about that Emporia State game, explain to me how hard it is to play a doubleheader on one day, and then the next day play another doubleheader. Talk me through that, you know, emotionally wise and every other way possible. Yeah,
you know, it's just a long day. You know, that's really all it is. Fortunately, it's kind of like going from 3 hours of practice to 1 hour weightlifting and finishing off the day. And so we'll set it up. We'll set up our days to try to get them as long as possible. It's limited by rule to 4 hours a day in practice. So we stop there. But in a game, it's mentally just pushing through that second one. And the hard part isn't playing the game. The hard part's winning 2 in the same day. It just doesn't happen very often, you know. And so continuing to get through that first 2 doubleheader, and then the second day, it's just kind of guts alone. And that's why we condition really hard in the fall. And that's what I tell the guys. I guess next year we need to run more if we're going to get beat today, huh? And they don't like to hear that. So they continue to push a little harder. And you know, fortunately, we've had a lot of success in doubleheaders.
That's fantastic. You guys fell to Emporia State on the 8th, unfortunately, 14-2. Emporia had runs in the top of the second and the top of the fourth. You know, why were they so effective? Obviously, they're a good team. Mm-hmm. They've been a good team all year. You guys are a good team. What happened there?
Oh, you know, sometimes it's just a game, and I don't think we were as locked in and ready to go, which is unfortunate, discouraging on a coaching standpoint. But I'm not ever going to tell you it was the players that weren't locked in first. And it may have been me more than anything. And so I needed to, I apologize after the game on the radio for our performance. But ultimately, I was trying to apologize for our preparation, and it's something that we want to be better at, and we weren't very good. We didn't come in with the right mindset, and they deserve some credit too, though, because they hit every pitch we threw at the belt. They hit it, and they hit it hard, and unfortunately, we had walks in front of them. And so you go from great starting pitching and great finishing off of teams over the weekend to that. It's just disappointing. But the thing about baseball is you turn right back around and play again, and so we're looking forward to the upcoming series.
Absolutely. This team's obviously played very well this season. You guys have had a good season, continuing to get better. I think that's, notably the most important thing. How have you guys been able to play season-wide, with the exception of February, at such a high level?
Well, that's something that started long before I got here with Dave Van Horn and Brad Hill and Darren Hendrickson, creating that environment of being great and excellence in everything you do. And so I've been fortunate, I guess, just to carry on that legacy a little bit and help keep that. But it's just a matter of preparation. We have a system, we have something that a style of play that we want to keep, and so our guys know what it means to be a Mule. They know how we want to do it, what they're supposed to do, what the guy in front of them is doing, the guy behind them is doing. Every defensive situation that you can think of, they're ready for, and so it ultimately comes down to, I think, preparation, having a plan, and the guys buying into it, believing that it's good enough to get us to a national championship.
You guys are 23-5 in the MIAA right now. How does that feel?
Well, obviously it's got to feel good. 23-5 is a great in-conference record in what I think is one of the better conferences. But we're just, as you heard Tony even mention, and he's only been here for a year, and he knows the history in that clip. He mentioned that we want to get it back, even if the success from last year wasn't good enough, and 36-13, and this year losing 11 games up to this point, it's not good enough, and so those guys know the tradition, and so as good as it should feel, we're all disappointed right now and looking to go on a big run here.
Now on April 17th, you guys head back home. You take on the Griffins. How are you strategizing, coming off that loss?
Well, we're just going to play for the next one, and so we'll worry about game one of the series and try to get our guys ready for a good team. They're both, the rest of the next three games we have, I think those teams are sitting 2, 3, and 4 in the league, or 2, 4, and 5 in the league. So it sure seems like it's going to be a good weekend ahead.
Well, and then as you take a look there, you got doubleheaders on the 11th and doubleheaders on the 12th there. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock games, obviously both days. How are you guys preparing? Obviously, we talked about you coming back home, but these are in Maryville. Going into Maryville, that's obviously got to be something you guys are excited about and ready to go. What are you guys doing to prepare for those specific games? It's gonna be tough.
Well, Northwest, we haven't played them in a year or two. Last year our series got canceled. The year before that, I don't remember playing them. But so it'll be new. It'll be somebody we haven't seen before. It'll be a style of play that again, we haven't seen. So we've got to make sure that we're ready, how we want to play the game, what we want to do, and the only thing I can tell you is Coach Lowe will have the Northwest Bearcats ready to go.
I'm sure that he will. Is there anything else you'd like to add about going Northwest or then having to come back home? Anything that you'd like to add really about coming up?
Yeah, it's going to be great baseball weather. I hope we can get out of the cold weather now and get some fans back here for that Western Series, because that's going to be a big weekend, senior weekend, and Northwest is going to be a great series. We want to concentrate on that, and road games are always important. Going out and winning a series on the road is huge, and so if anybody can make it up there this time of year, it'd be nice to have some support.
Well, Coach, thank you very much. I really appreciate you coming in and doing this for us. We appreciate that. Up next, the spotlight on Mules senior outfielder Brad Wilson. Don't go away.
I choose red to blaze my own trail.
I choose red to be with students and faculty who make me feel at home.
I wanted a university with a big picture perspective. That's why I chose red.
Why do you choose red?
Choose red.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri. Choose red. Can I do that? Is that allowed?
With any gift to KMOS-TV at the $50 level and above, you will receive a member card as our way of saying thank you. Many Americans are turning to yoga for its abundant health benefits. Increased flexibility and endurance, better concentration and balance, improved posture and stress relief. From various discounts to 2-for-1 sessions, you can make the most of your KMOS member card at any of these participating yoga studios. It doesn't matter whether you're new to the yoga tradition or even an experienced guru. Call the number on your screen and support quality educational programming on KMOS-TV. Thank you.
Muhammad Ali knew the impact he had in the ring
Well, I'm the greatest.
would never surpass the impact he had outside of it.
Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The Trials of Muhammad Ali.
KMOS-TV, Sedalia, Warrensburg, Missouri's PBS.
Welcome back to the UCM Sports Page. Let's take a look at Mules senior outfielder Brad Wilson.
Well, I played baseball when I was younger. Started in T-ball, went to coach pitch, of course, and then I went to machine pitch. And parents kind of held me back a little bit, getting into the travel baseball until I was a little older. I was about 13 when I got into it, and that's kind of where my game started to evolve a little more. And then went into high school, played on a team in St. Louis during the summers, got a lot of exposure, and that's how I ended up here. Coach Murray, former coach here, gave me the opportunity to come here and play. And I talked to my brother about it, and he said if you have the chance to go there, you should definitely go there. So that's how I decided to come here, and it's just a winning tradition. The winning tradition really sits hard in my heart, that I just have that drive to win. My brother was big. My dad always pushed me real hard when I was younger, but he would always bring me to my brother's practices, and then he let me hit with them, field ground balls with them, take fly balls, and that's kind of what pushed me along. So my brothers kind of set the path for me, and I've gone from there. I mean, we have a few younger guys on this year's team, so coach kind of is taking a little step back. I don't know, a step back, but letting him have a little more, and then but he still is hard on them in practice, and we get after him in practice on the little things, fielding ground balls, catching fly balls, being good with 2 strikes, that kind of thing. So he's still the same. He's still Coach Myers, everybody. So he just keeps pushing us. We're real close. Coach and I well, he brought me in. It was kind of a walk-on spot when I first came here, and he saw me a couple times, but really Coach Murray was the one that got me here. But with Coach Myers, it's just evolved. It's anything I ever need, I can go talk to him, whether it's 8 in the morning or 8 o'clock at night. He's always there to be on our side. He's here all the time, so he's always, anytime he's available, he's always for us. The players on the team, the guys, we're real close. We like to hang out a lot off the field. On the field, we like to have a little fun, but you got to keep your focus on the field. So, but guys off the field, we like to get together, watch sports, go out to eat together, that kind of thing. I mean, the ultimate goal is a national title, but first you got to go through stepping stones, which is win conference in the regular season, win conference in the tournament, and then move on to regional and win the regional, and then head to Cary, North Carolina, and take care of business there. My goals, I'd like to be an All-American, which is almost everybody's goal when you come into this program, because we've had so many past All-Americans on the team, so you want to be an All-American, but if you don't have that opportunity, you do what you can for your team, whether that's laying down a sack bunt, whether that's hitting a double, whether that's making a diving play, or just making the routine play, catching a fly ball, that kind of thing. So off the field, I like to watch sports. I'm a big sports fan, big Notre Dame fan, go Irish. And I like to play video games, I like to relax, because a lot of the time we're down here, so I like to just kick it back. I have a few superstitions, just nothing too crazy, but whether it's putting my right sock on my right foot first and then my left sock, but that kind of thing, putting your glove and hat in the same place, that kind of thing, but it's nothing too crazy. I feel like to make the push for the playoffs, we got to keep pitching. We've been pitching really well, and our offense has been evolving. It's going to take the leadoff guy to get on base, try to get on base every inning, and then the next guy move him over, whether that's base hit, bunt, anything, and then the next guy or two to find a base hit, drive him in. And our defense, it's getting better every game, it seems like. So just taking that step forward every game, it seems like you got to get better every day at practice, every game, every opportunity you have. I like to thank the fans. Every game they're out here, whether it's cold, whether it's rainy, whether it's snowing, they're always out here sunny. And there's always the loyal fans that are here every game. I like to thank them. I like to thank my parents for giving me the opportunity to come here. I thank the coaches. They gave me the opportunity to come here as well. And then the players, I mean, they got my back and I got their backs.
Brad Wilson is having a great season so far. He's hitting .382 and has a team high 33 RBI this season. When we come back, Joe Moore will sit down with Coach Susan Anderson. Stay tuned.
I chose Red because the minute I stepped on campus, I knew I could make a difference not only at the university but in the community as well.
I chose Red honestly because of the relationship established between teachers and students that made the learning environment so much easier.
UCM has so many scholarship options, which made it really great for someone like me who's on a really tight budget.
I like the small community, and I like that it's still a big school feeling.
It's affordable, the class sizes are excellent, and I chose Red for a more hands-on learning experience.
UCM is not too big but not too small, so you're not just a number, you can really get involved.
You go to bigger schools and you don't get to have, that much interaction with your professors. I walk down the halls and they know who I am, and it's just really a great feeling.
Really just feels like home, honestly.
Hey, Red Green here. If you've never seen the Red Green Show, no one can possibly describe it to you. It takes place up at Possum Lodge, and stuff goes on that probably shouldn't go on anywhere, but until you see it, you'll never experience it. Check it out right here on this public television station. It's the only place in the world where you see something like the Red Green Show. I look forward to seeing you on the other side of that glass.
Muhammad Ali knew the impact he had in the ring
I'm the greatest.
would never surpass the impact he had outside of it.
Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The trials of Muhammad Ali.
Thank you for watching KMOS-TV, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
Welcome back to Sports Page. I'm Joe Moore. Before we talk to Jennies softball coach Susan Anderson, let's take a look at the results for this past week. Track and field traveled to Emporia, Kansas on April 5th to compete in the Emporia State Relays. The Jennies finished 5th with provisional marks from Heaven Warner, Brooks Swearingen, Madison Smith, and Mary Riley, who earned MIAA Player of the Week and has the third best javelin throw in the nation. Place winners among the Jennies were Megan Glayman, who took 2nd in the 1,500-meter run, Erin Aylwine took 6th in the long jump, Haley Hewer took 8th in discus, Rachel Mintzmeyer took 6th in pole vault, and Kaylee Fox took 5th in the 400-meter dash. The Jennies are currently ranked 11th in NCAA Division II. The Mules finished third with a provisional mark from Mila Simpson. The Mules also had multiple place winners such as Chris Swearingen, who took 5th in javelin, Joseph Holland, who took 2nd, and Hassan Ilyas, who took 6th in the 110-meter hurdles. George Haralambous took 6th in long jump. Marquise Jones took 4th in the 100-meter dash and 8th in the 200-meter dash. Austin Gott took 8th in the 3,000-meter run. Cole Davis took 5th in the 800-meter run, and Brad Benowitz took 8th in the 400-meter hurdles. The Mules are ranked 20th in the NCAA Division II. Jennies Golf traveled to Columbus, Nebraska, where they placed 7th out of 9 teams at the Upper Iowa Spring Invite April 5th and 6th. The Jennies shot a total of 709. Kelly Welker took top place for the Jennies at 16th with a 171. Mules Golf traveled to Dallas, Texas, where they took 2nd out of 15 teams at the Dallas Baptist University Golf Classic on April 7th and 8th. Alex Springer finished 2nd with a 3-round even par 213, earning him MIAA Player of the Week. That's all for this past week of events. Now joining me is Jennies head softball coach Susan Anderson. Coach, great to have you. And before we begin, I have to say, this is my first time hosting Sports Page. It's great to have an old friend from our college days.
I love
nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Coach, we're going to get started with your trip to Lincoln. Had a couple of games up there against the Blue Tigers, picked up a couple of big wins. Tell us about those games.
Against Lincoln, it was 2 huge wins for us, and they were both run rules. And for those of you that may not know what the run rule situation is for softball, it's 8 runs after 5 innings. The great thing about Lincoln, those games, out of, I want to say the first game ended in 5 innings, and the second game I think was 6. Out of 11 innings, we scored 10 of those 11 innings. There was only 1 inning where we didn't score runs.
That's some good offensive production.
Yeah, you got to love that as a coach. It was really fantastic to see that.
Well, and speaking of making runs, Emily King really stepped up in that second game for you. She had 2 RBI, 3 hits, 3 runs. What can we expect from her this season?
Well, Emily had a great week this week. I want to say for the week she batted around 470. That's huge. That's what she's capable of doing. She does a great job at the bottom of our lineup. She's kind of one of those players, like we've tried bumping her up, and then it's like she kind of puts too much pressure on herself. So we as a coaching staff have talked about that. We kind of like having her a little bit lower because she is capable of putting up those, those hits and, doubles, home runs, that type of stuff. And so we definitely need that. And that's one thing I think that's been great with our team is that we're a lot stronger 1 through 9. But yeah, she had great offensive production against Lincoln, and I hope that she can continue to do that. She's getting more and more confidence at the plate. And she also had solid defensive games because she had a lot of balls hit to her at Lincoln.
It's always good to get those base runners, but you have to have somebody driving them home.
Exactly.
So that's great. Well, you went from one LU to another. You went from Lincoln over to St. Charles to face Lindenwood, split a couple of games there, dropping the first one. What did you take away from that first game that you were able to apply to the second?
The first game, the stats doesn't really show like what we were able to do. I know we dropped one where it was 2-0, but the hits that we did have, they were hard hits, but it was like right to their defender. It's one of those like just right at them. If you hit it just a little bit to the left or right, those can get through, and then it's a different ball game. Like we had runners in scoring position a few times, and all we needed was just one timely hit. And if any of those hits aren't right to somebody, it's a different ball game. But one thing that we really took from that first game to the second game is that they started the same pitcher that they had the first game, and we talked about that right at the very beginning. Once we learned that they were going to be starting that same pitcher, is just to be more disciplined and to trust our hitting and just to believe in the trust the process. And we jumped right on her the first inning, and then they had to yank her in the first inning. So that I give our girls, I'm very proud of them for making that adjustment, because we were on her at times, but it just didn't show it as much just because the balls were being hit right to people. But I think that speaks highly of our girls that the first inning they were confident. We were able to jump on her, and then we scored a couple of runs, and then they yanked her, and then they brought in another pitcher. So they were very disciplined at the plate the second game, and I was really proud to see that.
Gosh, that just seems so simple that we're on her, we're hitting her. Just keep doing what you're doing. How do you keep that mindset when you go into that second game? Because it can be so disheartening for a player that I know I'm making good at bats, I know I'm taking good hacks, I'm hitting the ball hard, it's just going right at somebody on the defense. How do you get over that frustration?
I think that's just so much of baseball, softball is the mental aspect. Sometimes it's not all about stats. It's one of those, like if you crush the ball and you hit it as hard as you can, but it's right to somebody, it doesn't go in as a hit, but you can't hit it any better than that. And I think that's just something that we try to get through to our girls, is just more of the mental aspect and not over try. Because I feel like sometimes when you're trying too hard, then you try to over swing, and then you start doing different things with your swing. So once our girls just got a little bit more relaxed and just trusted it, you know, we definitely saw the results the second game against Lindenwood, where we came away with another run rule situation. So pretty good weekend when you run rule teams 3 out of 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to watch some of the Jennies practicing here on the screen, and that's something that you work on all week, is the different hitting technique. You know, you talked about the skills that you have to have fielding the ball, hitting the ball. It seems like such a simple game, but it really does get very complex for you.
It definitely gets complex with baseball or softball, because you've got the opponents where they're pitching the ball, so you've got a ball that's moving and you're trying to hit it. So it's a very hard task, but it's one of those, like I said, I really do feel like it's just a matter of trusting the process. And I give kudos to our girls, especially this year and especially late, that we've been a lot more disciplined at the plate, and that's what we got to do this weekend going in against SBU. We've got to be very disciplined at the plate and keep looking for our pitches.
Well, I want to talk about a couple of your players here in just a minute, but one thing that you have had to deal with, as always, every spring, you have to deal with the weather. When you lose some opportunities, when you lose time to get on the practice field, how do you keep the mentality and keep the focus when you're getting ready for a game and then all of a sudden the game's not there? You don't get to play.
I think our girls have, in any spring sport, because we're trying to do a spring sport, but a lot of times the winter gets extended and you're trying to battle Mother Nature. I think it's just learning to be completely flexible and just rolling with the punches and keeping things light, because sometimes you might just have to have a practice where it's more of a fun practice, just because you do get tired of being indoors, inside in the batting cages, because there's only so much you can do. So I think it's just keeping a good mentality, keeping up the energy and keeping the focus. And sometimes you might just have a shorter practice, so that way it's in and out, and then that way they're ready to go get back on that field again.
Okay. Well, 2 players I want to talk about. Katie Shockley pitched, had allowed 4 hits, 0 runs in that second Lindenwood game. What has she been doing this season, and how does she continue through the rest of the year?
Katie Shockley, she's just, if you come out and get a chance to watch her pitch, she's so phenomenal on the mound just because of her game presence. You can't tell if she's down or if she's up. She's just very, very composed, and she's very good and very effective with all of her pitches. And that's one thing that I feel like she's done a great job this year. She's a little bit more healthy. Last year we had a lot of issues with her elbow, and then this year she really hasn't had that. There's only been a couple games where, actually it was against Lincoln, we had to take her out because she started shaking her arm, and you could just start telling that something wasn't quite right, and it was just happened to be one curveball that just kind of tweaked it. But this year she's been a lot more healthier, and so it's been really good to have her out on the mound, because she is so confident, and her ball, it's amazing when you're sitting behind the plate as to how much movement she's got. She's very, very effective for our team.
Another person we have to talk about, we're not going to talk too much about it because she's our spotlight today, but Jakki Prater. Comes into this season, she has 11 career home runs. So far this season, you have 10 regular season games left, not including postseason. 17 home runs this season, set the single season record for the Jennies in that second game against Lindenwood. What happened?
That kid, we always knew that she had that ability, she had that potential, even when we recruited her right out of high school. Like, I can remember being at the Nixa high school game, and they lost, and it was the end of her high school career, going up and talking to her and basically just kind of saying, like, I know that this is an end, but this could be such a great new beginning for you at Central. And we knew that she could probably be one of the best players to come through our program. And she's just lights out right now. She's just, you can tell that she's a junior because she's so much more confident in the side of the circle and at the batter's box. Like, she's just very, very confident. Like, we've had some people say, what bat is she using? But the crazy and funny part about that is that it depends. Like, if she has one bad swing or one bad at bat, bam, she's got another bat in her hand, and then there goes another home run. So it's pretty funny that it really doesn't matter what bat it is. It's just, she's bringing it. She's just lights out right now. She's in the zone, and we love it. We love it. We knew she was capable of it.
Softball and baseball players are kind of funky about their bats, aren't they? They know if it's different by just a fraction of an inch, that the handle's different, the barrel's different, things like that. But she's not the only one hitting the ball this year. Your team is second in the conference in batting this season. Is that one of those things that Jakki's having a great season and everybody else is getting on the bandwagon? Is Jakki having a great season because there's no pressure on her? What's happening this year for the bats to be so hot?
I just really feel like with our upperclassmen that we have, they are really leading by example, and they're a lot more confident. And I just feel like with the new kids that we have coming in, like last year we had a lot of freshmen, now they're sophomores. It's amazing what just 1 year can do on your confidence level. And so I just, like I said earlier, like 1 through 9, and it's actually not even 1 through 9. Like we have people in the dugout, like when we're putting them in for pinch hitting roles or substitutions, like they're getting the job done. And that's one thing that's huge for our team right now. And I just really do think that it's the kids that we recruited, and I think it's just a lot of the confidence that they've gained over the years.
And one thing that helps that batting is when you have good pitching, because those batters can relax, they can swing a little bit better. Right now you have a team ERA of 3.42. Back when you were in school and when I was in school, that was a really high ERA for softball. Today that doesn't seem to be the case. What has changed there? And of course you always want to lower that. What do you do to keep working on and getting that ERA lower?
I feel like early on, like our pitchers, they struggled early on, and so their ERA was really high, and they've done a great job as of late and like even mid-season. And so it's one of those that's tough to reduce it that fast. And so it's just like we need them to keep doing what they're doing because they're doing a great job, our pitchers. But what's different from when we played is just the technology with the bats. It's unreal how much lighter, how much more pop they have off of it. And that's something that they were trying to do, is make it more of an offensive game, and that's definitely the case anymore. And so it's one of those, you just got to work with it. And I feel like one, it's working for our favor right now as hitters with having a bit more disciplined at bats and getting a great batting average. I want to keep that team batting average up. We need it with going into the last part of this season. Sure. And then same thing with our pitchers. They just need to keep pitching with confidence, and they're doing that.
And confidence in pitching comes from playing solid defense. Now you have 43 errors in 38 games this season. I know that's not where you'd like it to be, but we were talking before the show that a lot of those came early in this season. What have you been doing to continue working on the defense?
I feel like, yes, a lot of those errors did happen early on, and that's just because you're not able to get outside to practice. And it's amazing when you're playing on dirt versus football turf or even the gym floor. So yes, a lot of those happened early on. I think now it's just that Mother Nature has been cooperating a lot more, and so we've been able to have more consistent like games midweek, games on the weekend, practice during the week, and that just makes a huge difference when you can just get out and just keep playing the game instead of going back indoors and all you're doing is hitting. So I think a lot of it is just being out and getting those games under your belt.
You have a busy schedule coming up, 4 big games against Southwest Baptist. You have 2 there. You come right back home. You play them 2 here. What's your outlook going into those games? What are you planning on?
We cannot take SBU lightly. Like when you look at the standings, they're down lower in the standings, but from everybody that we've talked to, they're a much better SBU team compared to years past. They've got a few girls that can totally swing it. I've heard that their pitching is better than what it was a few years ago. They've been playing teams tough. Like I know that they've taken some teams to extra innings. So it's one of those we cannot take lightly. But granted, if we play the way that we should be playing, you know, solid defense, get good pitching performances, and if we can stay disciplined at the plate and keep, like I said, with Jakki, like she's coming away with a ton of RBIs, and that gives kudos to the top of our lineup because they're getting on in front of her for her to drive them in. But we just need to keep that where we're just being solid all the way through the lineup and just really be disciplined, get good pitches to swing at, and hopefully we get the results that we want.
Would be really easy to look past them because right after Southwest Baptist, you face off with Emporia State. Emporia State would have a 33-8 record, 15-1 in the conference. You're going from one of the teams in the bottom of the conference to the team at the top. How do you get ready for that then?
Right now it's one game at a time. Like you said, I don't want to look past SBU, but just to talk about Emporia, very solid team as always. We always have a huge rivalry with them, so it'll be really fun. Granted, it's going to be tough because it's on the road. It always seems to be tougher when it's on the road. They've got 2 pitchers that are doing decent, but not compared to like what they've had before. Like before, they've had pitchers that have completely dominated and just shut people down. So that's one thing that's in our favor that hopefully we can, get some runs, get people in scoring position and take advantage of that. Offensively for Emporia, they're just solid. I mean, that's one thing that they pretty much have everybody returning from a year ago. So offensively, we'll need to try to keep them, try to scatter their hits would probably be the best way. I don't know if there's a way to completely shut down Emporia's hitting, but if we can try to scatter their hits where they don't get those back-to-back hits where they can score a run.
Okay. Well, Coach, great to have you with us. Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank
we'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it.
And thanks for being here. Up next on Sports Page Spotlight is Jakki Prater. We'll take a look at how she's dominating this season and how the junior plans to keep it up. Stay tuned.
I choose to find the best fit for me.
I choose red for something unconventional.
I choose to look for the best opportunities for my future, even if it's out of state.
The University of Central Missouri Choose Red Grant. Missouri tuition for out-of-state residents. Learn more at ucmo.edu/in-state.
Choose red. Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Choose red! KMOS-TV salutes the many businesses and corporations that have contributed to this public television station. Whether it's through program underwriting, volunteer commitment, in-kind donations, program development funding, or event sponsorship, Central Missouri residents are the beneficiaries of their contributions. We now have an even better public television service. Kids programming, news programming, fine arts presentations, cooking shows, musical entertainment, and educational programming, all enhanced and improved because of our business and corporate partners. See how your business can benefit from supporting public television and KMOS-TV. Contact me, Louise Beasley, at 814-9208 or Beasley at KMOS.org. Also, you can find us and like us on Facebook.
He was a young fellow who wanted to be great.
Muhammad Ali knew the impact he had in the ring.
Well, I'm the greatest, and I'm knocking out all balls.
Would never surpass the impact he had outside of it.
Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
If I'm gonna die, I'll die now, right here fighting you.
The Trials of Muhammad Ali.
You are watching KMOS-TV, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
Jakki Prater, a junior from Nixa, Missouri, rightly earned her position as the designated hitter for the Jennies. She set UCM's softball record with 17 home runs in a single season and the second game against Lindenwood this past week. Let's see how she does it. Take a look.
The team compared to last year is completely different. It's really exciting because we have a lot of newcomers coming up and they're stepping up and doing really big things on the field and off the field too. We're close-knit and we have a lot of fun and we're all just really good friends, and it's really fun because no matter what we're doing, we always have each other's back, and it's just been a lot of fun this year with this team. Going into the season, it was a little different. We were nervous because our team was so young, and we knew we were going to have youngins on the field. And as soon as games started rolling, this whole season for everyone has been up in the air. And so we came out and we started off bad with Fort Hays, but then we've been playing with these teams that last year were so good, and we're beating them. And so for everyone, I feel like it's just such a different season, and it's just incredible. Now we just tied for third in the conference right now, and we basically have to hold our position to get into the conference tournament, and it's just going to be hard work from here on out, and I think we're going to make it all the way. So that's just my personal view. My relationship with the coaches is really good. I respect her and she respects me, and we work together really well on and off the field. She's always been there for me with anything that I need, and same with our assistant and our GA. They're all three fantastic people, and they're really easy to work with. I got my start with my brothers, actually. Actually, I played baseball originally, and I really loved baseball. My whole family is a baseball family. You know, we're really athletic, and we always everyone had their own sport. And I started with baseball and did really well. And they thought I was going to be the first person to hit a home run on a tee whenever I played t-ball. So it just kind of went from there. And my dad is really a big part of softball for me because he really has pushed me into the player that I am today. And he's always been the one that's worked with me on everything. And so I just basically fell in love with the game. And it's like a team sport, but it's also an individual sport because you have to work so hard for everyone to be good. Everybody has to work so hard all the time. And it's just an incredible sport, and I really love it. And I would never want to play a different sport. My brother has always been my idol. He is one of my best friends, and like I said, he played baseball, and he's kind of been that that jerk coach that just shoves you into doing, he's just one of those people, and I love him every day for it because I would definitely not be here without him. So I love him. I would say I'm a leader on the field because I get out on the field every day and I work as hard as I possibly can and try to push my teammates to do better. I'm not the most vocal person in the world, and so when it comes to talking my teammates up and things like that, it's mainly our seniors and a couple of other players on the team that are responsible for those things. But I really take pride in being a leader on the field because it shouldn't always take words to do it. You should want to be able to push hard against everybody else. It's like you against the world, basically, on the softball field. And we set goals every year. We get these little cards, and we have individual goals and team goals. And we all try to make it to our personal goals and then our team goals because it's always like the baby steps. And I mean, every year it's different. Every year it gets better. It's always been errors for me in the field, which I haven't played in the field as much this year, but I really haven't had that many errors either, so I'm not upset about it. And then it's hitting for sure. And so far I've done well on those goals, and now we're just working with our team goals. I am the most superstitious person ever, and I have to use the same bat. I have to hold the bat in the same way. I have this thing about my ribbon, and I'll start a game with the ribbon, and if I'm doing bad, I have to take the ribbon out or switch a different ribbon. It doesn't matter. But let's see what else. Can't have the bats crossed. Same shoelaces, all that stuff. I'm extremely superstitious. I believe in all that juju. I chose red because everything about the campus and my team and the people that I met here, and I love everything about it. It's a lot of fun, and it's such a positive atmosphere. You go in and the teachers are fantastic. They work with you all the time, and the people are fantastic. You'll never meet nicer people than you do here, and especially my team. I just love them. They're my family.
In addition to leading the Jennies in hitting, Jakki Prater also has a 14-8 record and a 3.77 ERA as a pitcher. Way to go, Jakki. Keep it up. Up next, Alex will give you the rundown on all the upcoming Mules and Jennies events. We'll be right back.
Escojo hacer una diferencia.
Escojo hacerme responsable de mis éxitos.
Escojo rojo para tener un hogar lejos de mi hogar.
Escojo rojo para aportar a mi comunidad.
Escojo rojo porque UCM se compromete a que me gradúe en menos tiempo y a menos costo.
¿Cuáles son tus metas?
¿Cómo planeas alcanzarlas?
UCM te puede ayudar a hacer de tus metas una realidad.
Escoge rojo. Escoge University of Central Missouri.
What if television could sweep us away to another time and place?
Very nice, my lady.
Why can't our favorite characters step off the page?
That's the Jane I want to marry.
Who says TV can't be as brilliant as Holmes?
Shut up!
Or as bold as Macbeth?
Thou shalt be king.
And what if television could take us from the Gilded Age to the Great War? From the heat of the chase to the heart of a queen. No one tells stories like PBS. Tales as timeless as the classics that inspired them.
Please, sir.
Give to your PBS station and help bring stories like these to life, now and for generations to come.
Muhammad Ali knew the impact he had in the ring
Well, I'm the greatest.
would never surpass the impact he had outside of it.
Mr. Muhammad Ali has just refused to be inducted into the United States Armed Forces.
The Trials of Muhammad Ali.
You are watching KMOS-TV, Sedalia, Warrensburg.
Welcome back to Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS. Here's a look at the upcoming schedules. UCM Track and Field heads to Emporia, Kansas for the Emporia State Multi on April 10th through the 11th. Track and Field has a quick turnaround and heads to Pittsburgh, Kansas for the Pittsburgh State University Gorilla Classic at noon on April 12th. April 17th, Track and Field heads to Walnut, California for the Mount Sac Relays. Good luck, Mules and Jennies. Jennies Bowling is seated at number 2 for the NCAA National Championship in Cleveland, Ohio on April 10th through the 12th. Good luck to the Jennies. Men's golf heads to the Haney Stanislaus Invitational April 14th through the 15th in Turlock, California. Women's golf heads to the UMSL Triton Invitational on April 13th through April 14th in St. Louis, Missouri. And with that, we conclude this edition of the UCM Sports Page. Make sure to tune in next week. Until then, for our entire crew, I'm Alex Greenlee.
And I'm Joe Moore, saying thanks for watching the UCM Sports Page here on KMOS-TV, Missouri PBS.
Sports Page is provided by Union Station, Crossroads to Technology, a one-stop shopping source for technology needs, campus-compatible computers, software for Mac and PCs, and much more. Located on campus on the lower floor of the Elliott Union in Warrensburg. Union Station, Crossroads to Technology. And promotional support for Sports Page is provided by 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar. 1450 KOKO and 98.5 The Bar, the radio home of University of Central Missouri Athletics.